Federated Retirement System. Let's have a roll call vote. Trustee Abbott? Here. Trustee Avasti? Here. Trustee Chandra?
Here.
Trustee Faulkner?
Here.
Trustee Linder?
Here.
Vice Chair Jennings?
Not vice chair.
Oh, my, excuse, Trustee Jennings?
Yeah.
Here.
Transformation.
Okay, change is hard.
Yes.
And the chair is here. So we have a full house, and this is a hybrid meeting. So all votes will be roll call votes. Council Chen, do you need to qualify our remote member? Please do so.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Chair Horowitz. Trustee Jennings, it's going to get me a little bit of time to get used to that, but Trustee
You just have
Jennings.
another month to go, really.
Okay. Trustee Jennings, are you teleconferencing from the location that's posted on the agenda?
Yes,
And is the location from where you're teleconferencing from open to the public and ADA accessible?
yes,
And have you posted the agenda on the outside of the location from where you're teleconferencing from so that the public can see it?
yes,
And if a member of the public wishes to be heard from the location from where you're teleconferencing from, may they be heard by the board?
yes,
Trustee Jennings has been qualified under the traditional Brown Act teleconferencing rules. As Chair Horowitz mentioned, all votes shall be roll call votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like we have no orders of the day. We do not need to waive sunshine. At this point, we will take public comments on any item that is normally before this board, but which is not otherwise agendized. Is there anyone here or online to make public comments? Seeing none, we will proceed then with the consent calendar. Is there any changes suggested for the consent calendar? Are there any changes? Seeing none, I'll take a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion from Trustee Linder. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second that was Trustee Avasti. And any further comment? All in favor of roll call vote? Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Avasti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Chandra?
Aye.
Trustee Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Linder?
Aye.
And Trustee Jennings?
aye,
And chair votes aye. Consent calendar is approved. We will proceed to, and we have no closed session items today.
Yay.
We will proceed to agenda item number 2 then, death and survivorship. We'll have a moment of silence for all those who have served the city and who have passed. Thank you. Moving forward to investments, an oral update from our CIO, Mr. Palani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, trustees. Happy New Year. We don't have any agenda items this month on the investment section. I usually give you pro forma performance estimates, but I don't have an email from Laura yet, so I've just pinged her. So I'm pretty sure that before the end of the meeting, we'll have those numbers, and I will come back and give you those estimates.
Okay, we look forward to those. Thank you so much. Moving on to agenda item 4, old business. There is none, and now we are on new business. Oral update from the CEO, Mr. Flynn.
Not used to giving my oral update at 8:34, but
I was thinking the same thing.
well, good morning, everybody. Wish you all a happy and healthy New Year to you and all of our members and their families. Give you an office update. ORS is continuing recruitment for our senior office specialist position. We hope to have filled position by February 25th. We also have an open recruitment for our vacant position of accountant. Both of these were in process before the city's hiring freeze. So we hope to have success in recruiting for these open positions. ORS has completed its review of the ORS procurement policy. We have, later on this agenda, you'll see that the governance committee has agreed to move that policy onto the full committee. It's been approved by Police and Fire. This is the last policy that brings us in alignment with the MOU with the city, and I believe the last policy as part of our internal city audit recommendations. So that's good news. Office lease update, as you know, it's due to expire the 31st of this year, where we have received a final space analysis from the building, and we're currently waiting for build-out estimates. We plan to continue the discussions with a more aggressive negotiation. We have some meetings scheduled at the end of this week with legal counsel to advise us on the next course of action, working with the city, working with the building to try to finish those negotiations before the end of March. I have a little more of an extensive update on RFPs because we've done a lot of work over the holidays. So we have 3 outstanding requests for proposal, one for legal services, one for actuarial services, and one for governance services. All of the RFPs have been posted to NCPERS and CalPERS. This gives us both an exposure to California-based service providers as well as national exposure through NCPERS. We also notified 32 of the legal service providers based on the 2023 ACFRs from other California pension funds. So we sent out 32 email notifications to those service providers. And that was really based on whether or not they had publicly available email addresses that we could communicate with. A quick detailed update is the legal services RFP is due January 24th. All of these, I believe, are at 4 p.m. In the afternoon deadlines. We received 10 questions on the legal services RFP, which is very good, and we've had 32 downloads. So we are getting some traction there, and we hope the service providers will submit proposals. Actuarial services RFP is due the end of the month, at January 31st. We received 23 questions and 20 RFP downloads. Those 23 questions, when we did a review for the California ACFRs on actuarial service providers, that it was a far more limited number of service providers, so, and we received questions from, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 different firms, so we were pretty happy to see that type of activity. And then on our governance services, RFP is due January 31st. We've received 2 questions, but we have had 40 RFP downloads. So a lot of good activity there. I hope, we'll see what our conversion rate is to actual proposal submissions, but right now the activity is promising. Retiree 1099-Rs will be mailed out the end of January. Our guaranteed purchasing power for 2024 will be paid to those who qualify in February. Retirees impacted by 415 limits will see their 2025 adjustments in their March 25 retirement payment. Just as a reminder, the IRS increased the limit for 2025 to $280,000 per year. That's a $5,000 increase over last year. January edition of the Retirement Connection newsletter will be mailed out later this month. As mentioned previously, ORS will default to a digital distribution for the summer edition 2025. We have articles explaining this change and instructions on setting distribution preferences if members choose to continue to receive a paper copy, but it will take an action on their part in order for that to continue. Just one correction, the 415 limits, their 2025 adjustments, that'll happen in April, not March. I apologize. For staff and for trustees, the IRS standard mileage reimbursement rate for 2025 has changed to 70 cents per mile. This new rate is applicable to all miles driven on or after January 5th. And then lastly, our offices will be closed on Monday, January 20th, to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and January 29th to celebrate Lunar New Year. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from trustees? I assume the trustee 1099s will also be out by the 31st?
Go ahead, Barbara.
Yes. Okay. Good. My tax attorney
Typically,
appreciates
they're all
that.
due by the end of January.
Yeah. Brokerage firms are stretching it to the end of February.
Tax bracket?
Yeah. That's right. I'm afraid it's gonna bump me into the next tax bracket, not. Any other questions from trustees of the public? There are none. Okay, thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Mr. Chairman, I have those performance estimates.
Oh, okay,
This
let's,
is a good
let's
time to.
move back to item number 3.
So, as of January 14th, the pension fund was up 1.98% fiscal year to date, and the healthcare trust was up 1.96% year to date.
Okay. So, once again, I think as in last month, there was a big move the day before our meeting, and that does not include yesterday's,
Monster rally, that's right.
so I think I'm gonna start buying the VIX the week of our meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
Buy some calls.
Okay, I don't know what we're doing, but somehow we're moving the market the day before. All right, thank you. Any questions from trustees for our CIO or the public? None, okay. We're now on to item 5B, again, rather early in the morning. This is an oral update from our city liaison. And I don't know if you did mention, if all trustees are aware, a new city liaison has been assigned to this board. It is Pam Foley, who was formerly with the Police and Fire. She may be arriving here later this morning.
Cool.
And if she does, then we will revisit this item 5B and allow her a chance to speak.
Do we know who police and fire will be?
It is a new member,
Councilmember Casey.
Councilmember Casey of D10. There's a new council member as well as a new liaison.
Very good.
So
Where is D10? Is that west?
that's Almaden Valley.
Oh,
That's,
that's Valley.
yeah. the-
Okay.
It's where Mayan came from.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was west.
Exactly, exactly. It's where Fred, well, I'm not gonna say, other people live there too, yeah.
Interesting.
Yes, interesting.
Happy we get Foley, that's good.
Okay. On to item 5C, which is discussion action on the final OPEB valuations. And we have folks from Chiron here to address this.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're also not used to being on this early, but
We're happy.
so I'm here with Jackie King, and we are here to present the final results of the OPEB valuation. You can see from our schedule, this is the last of our valuation series. And so we'll, it's a nice way to end with a nice short presentation on the OPEB valuation. We presented the preliminary results last month. There hasn't been any real change in the primary numbers, so our presentation will go into a little bit more detail, but just to remind you, this valuation is developing the contributions for fiscal year end 2026. It does not affect member contributions. Those are fixed at 7.5% of pay for all the members who are eligible for full benefits. It only affects the city's contributions. So that's the focus of the valuation here. And I'll turn it to Jackie.
So as Bill mentioned, the final results, the preliminary results are where we presented last month. There have been no changes, so some of this will be a repeat of what we did. So If you have any questions along the way, feel free to stop us to clarify anything if you would like. These two charts show us basically a snapshot of the plan as it is. So on the left, you've got your explicit subsidy funding status. So the bars represent the liabilities of the plan, and it's separated by status, so, you know, whether you're an active participant in pay or a vested term and due a benefit in the future. And the green line is your actuarial value of assets, and then the percentage there is your funding ratio. So you can see you had a good increase from 59.1% to 64.3% within the last year. And on the right, you have your contributions. Again, you got the bar, the dollar amount, split out between the city and the members. And then the red bar, the red line is your normal cost, which stayed pretty constant across the year. You can see that increase in your dollar amount of the contribution. And that is actually expected, as you can see by the blue line at the top, which was what was projected with the last valuation. So you actually, it did increase as expected, but not as much. So the bar on the right is a little less than what we had projected with the last valuation. With this slide, we're looking at the change in the unfunded actuarial liability. So on the left, you've got your breakdown for the year. So you started off with the last valuation at $259 million. And at the end, with this valuation at the end of fiscal year 2024, it had decreased down to $230 million. The biggest jump down was you had great investment earnings was lowered at by $15 million. You also had your contributions, because you're above you've been contributing more than the trade order rate, which is really like the basic minimum, your normal cost plus your interest on your UAL. Because you're contributing a bit more than that, you're paying down that UAL, and that's where you're seeing that decrease in that red bar. For the assumptions that came from the medical trend assumptions that we had, they were a little lower. We did lower them this year compared to last year. And then as far as the liability experience, it's coming out as zero. That's a net number. You had two numbers that offset each other, two components of it. First being you had some demographic gains. So what that means is based on the experience, retirements, terminations, disabilities of people in the plan, you actually got a gain which lowered your liabilities. That was offset by some premium losses for the Medicare eligible participants. The current retirees, their premium was higher than what we expected, what we had projected from the last valuation. So those two numbers offset each other and netted out to zero for that. On the right, you've got it broken down, same breakdown, but we've got it historically for the last 5 years. You can see it kind of oscillates a little bit. But you can see some big numbers. Your investment returns are a big swing in that, as well as premium changes and assumption changes. Those are your big key numbers if you look at it year by year. But if we look at the combined for the last 5 years altogether, you can see the stark contrast between them all. So you've got assumption changes, which is your purple bar. That's your biggest increase combined for the 5 years. That increased by about 86 million. And then you have the offsetting numbers. You have your premiums. What that means is your premiums came in lower than expected. So you have some gain, you had a total gain over the 5 years. And then because you're paying down that UAL and with your contributions, that's also, you're getting that nice decrease there with the red bar. Looking at membership, again, this is something, a slide from last month's presentation, but just to touch on a few things. For the active members, you have that breakdown between who's eligible for full benefits and who's just eligible for catastrophic disability. Because the plan is closed, all new entrants are going into that catastrophic disability only. So the whole membership was as expected. You know, you've seen that decrease of active members that have full eligible benefits and that increase for catastrophic. On the right, if we look at it historically, if we look at just actives first, if we just looked at some of the, so here you got the the dark bar is people that are eligible for full benefits, and the teal bar is people that are eligible for catastrophic disability only. So you can see in total your active population is increasing over the years, but that shift of the portion going to catastrophic disability, that's also increasing with that too. If we switch to looking at some of the retirees, current people in payee status, you can see that number is slowly increasing over time, and you can see the portion, because again, this group is people that are getting the full benefits. You can see that that portion for the Medicare eligible, the proportion of it is increasing as the years move by. So that you'll expect to see that, and you know the number will increase and then eventually decrease as all the current actives that are eligible for future benefits retire and then move out of status. If we're looking at the member distributions, so on the left we've got the active, and on the right we've got your current retiree counts. We've got this is the distribution. What it's currently showing now is for 2024. But if we look at the graph on the left, which is your active count, what we're expecting is, you've got this group if we're looking at full benefits only, we should say that. And if we switch back to 2017, you can see how, and then we jump to 2024, if you notice, the group in total is decreasing, but it's also aging. So it's shifting a little more to the right. And then if we look at the catastrophic disability only, you can see how this group is significantly growing as well as aging with it. So all the new people getting hired are going into this group, and that's why you're seeing that big jump at the younger ages. Same with the retirees on the right. If we shift, because it's semi-closed for them, only people that are currently eligible for the full benefits can go into it. We're also going to expect this group to age. So if we look at 2017, you can see a lot more of it is shifted to the younger ages, and then as we shift to 2024, it's definitely an aging population. With this here, we're showing the projected benefit payments. So we've got, your full benefits, which is your closed group. Those are your green bars. You can see that it's expected to increase in the next 18 years as current actives that are eligible for it retire. But after that, it's expected to decrease into the future. But they are expected to be benefit payments very far into the future for this. As anyone that's active now, it's basically over their lifetime that you're going to see an expected benefit payment. As far as the catastrophic disability portion, which is that tiny little portion of the bars at the very top, the teal, we don't have any payments yet. It's a very, very small group that go into this payment. And just as a reminder that if they do go into a payment for this, the benefits do cease when they turn 65. So we expect that to stay a very, very small portion of the benefits.
So now we want to shift to looking at our projections. And here we're showing the projection of the actuarial liability and the assets. The lighter bars are the historic and the darker are the projections. You can see that we're projected to, what's interesting here that you have not seen in the pension plan, for example, is those gray bars for the actuarial liability are reaching a peak in about 8 years, and then they start to decline. And that's because of the closed group for full benefits. If we're looking at this on the pension, you have the tier 2 coming on. They're still earning substantial benefits, and so those gray bars just continue growing in the future. So this is really a different dynamic. The assets are projected to grow fairly rapidly and reach just about full funding around 2038. That's when the original UAL is scheduled to be paid off, and there's a little bit of a remnant after that. But basically, by 2038, we'd be very close to 100% funded if all assumptions are met. And here, I meant to set this up. So Jackie showed that overall for 2024, we had a gain, and we amortized those. We are not smoothing assets in the OPEB plan. We use an amortization method that phases in the payments or credits. So this is the 2024 gain that initially we're just getting 1/3 of the credit, and then it will step up, and then it runs at that same dollar amount for until the end of the amortization period, and then we phase out. And so that helps us smooth things so that we don't jump to new contribution levels based on a single year. But we do a separate layer for each year. And so you can see 2023 and 2024 almost offset each other. If we go back, these are pretty evenly spread since the original. But then the original piece was the 2017 UAL, and so that's the major piece of the amortization payments. And that's why the net payment runs at a fairly high level and then just drops down to 0 in 2039. And you can see that the net impact after that of the experience we've had since 2017. So when you put that together, here are the projected contributions. And so the member contributions are that fixed 7.5% of pay. That's that purple bar. It's declining because the members who are eligible for full benefits are expected to retire. And so the remaining active group that is paying into the plan at the 7.5% declines. The city's contribution is the total actuarially determined contribution minus what the member pays. And so the city's gold bars, it looks like it's going down because the total is going down, but the city's contribution is actually increasing slightly from 22 million in 2026 to 25 million in 2038 before it drops down to about 1 million. And in the background, you can see the benefit payments are this light green area. And so those are expected to accelerate. We're right at the point here where the benefit payments now are more than the contributions. So we'll have some negative net cash flow, but that negative net cash flow is going to get larger or more negative as we move forward fairly rapidly. So that will change some of the dynamics that we'll have to manage as we go forward, ensuring that we have the liquidity met in the investments as that negative cash flow grows.
Hey, Bill, this is Julie.
Yeah.
So that's because the active people are retiring, and so the city has to pick up more, is that it?
That was that first dynamic. So the active
Yeah.
people are retiring, so there's less member contributions coming in, and so the city is picking up slightly more of the contribution.
Now, I understand we're doing this on 2024, but we know for those staying on top of what's happening with the budget for the city is in a deficit and it's about, I don't know, between 60 and 70 million. And there are reductions that are happening. So for 2025, there will be less employees, there will be less people paying in. I assume that will have an impact, but that's something that you'll be looking at next year, is that correct?
Yes, we'll look at that next year. It will depend on who is no longer at the city, because remember,
It should
this is
be
a select
Tier
group.
2 people, I would think.
Yeah, if it's tier 2, it's not
based
going to
on
affect.
Well, it's based on seniority. And so,
Right, the people who
Usually
have
that
full
would be-
eligibility have significant seniority
Yes,
at the city.
correct.
So they may
Yes.
not be affected here.
yeah,
It may have a
Right.
bigger effect on the pension plan.
yeah. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So with these dynamics that we're looking at, we just wanted to put a marker down to review the funding policy within the next few years. We set this funding policy initially in 2017. The funded ratio was lower. The liabilities were projected to increase for 20 years. Now that's only 8 years. There are some other considerations to take into account. The current funding policy is fine. You can see how it projects out, but you may want to revisit some of the trade-offs. Given the closed plan, there's a limited use for surplus, especially as the liabilities start reaching their peak. So we, in the pension plan, if we overshoot and develop a surplus, it's great. We can use it with all the new employees who come. When you have a closed group where your liabilities are going away, if you develop that surplus, there are some ways to use it, but it's much more limited. So the benefit of a surplus is less. And so we should just talk about that balance and how we want to approach it. The liquidity requirements are increasing, so we need to think this through and coordinate with the investment policy side and how those may change. We do have to keep in mind for an OPEB plan, the unfunded liability is more volatile than it is for a pension plan because the liabilities are volatile as well as the assets. The liabilities are affected by healthcare cost trends and especially Medicare policies and how those change. So we do have to monitor that. The OPEB plan is much smaller than the pension plan. So there's less risk that the UAL becomes unaffordable, but it's something that you definitely want to be monitoring and have reflected in your funding policy so that it doesn't grow. So it requires a little bit more refinement if you are wanting to not risk developing a surplus if everything goes your way. But you also need the protections to make sure that the UAL doesn't grow substantially. So it's a much longer conversation to talk about those trade-offs. And all we wanted to do was just put it on your radar. So it's something that we would revisit in the future. I think, anytime in the next couple of years, it would be fine to review it. It's not absolutely urgent right now. Your current funding policy is working just fine. So with that, we'll take any other questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from trustees?
I should mention there is also attached to the agenda the full report. And I'm not intending to go through any of that, but if you have questions on that, I'd be happy to answer those.
Well, I appreciate that we're in a position to begin thinking about the conversation of how to phase out the plan and
Yes.
concerns about having too much surplus is interesting. So it's helpful that that is in sight. Are there any questions from the public on this issue? There are none. So if there are no other, do we need to discussion and action, so we need a motion to receive the report. If there's no other questions?
So moved.
We have a motion from trustee Linder. Do we have a second? Second from trustee Abbott. Any further discussion on the motion? Have a roll call vote. Trustee Jennings?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Avasti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Chandra?
Aye.
Trustee Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Linder?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The report is received. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And while you're here, let's just move forward, I think, to 5D, which I think will be a quick item. So let's go with that, and then I'd like to revisit item 5B, which is an oral update from our city liaison.
Sure. 5D is a letter that we provide annually that provides some detail on our 5-year projections for the pension and the OPEB valuation. It's all information from the pension valuation report and the OPEB valuation report. But the city uses some of the detail in their budget projections. And so it's just kind of the cap from our valuation here to provide that additional detail with the 5-year projections. So I wasn't planning to present anything on the letter, but just have you accept it.
Very good.
But
And
I'll take
that's
any questions.
Great, and that's just a discussion item, so we don't actually need any board action. Are there any questions then on the letter from trustees or from the public? Seeing none, thank you so much, Chiron. We will see
Thank
you in next year's round of actuarial updates. So with that, let us revisit item 5B. As mentioned earlier, we do have a new city council liaison. It's Councilmember Foley. She may not have been aware that unlike, and maybe some trustees are unaware, that unlike our brothers and sisters at Police and Fire, we begin at 8:30. And they are late risers at 9 a.m. So, which is their prerogative, of course. As we all will. And we're running through today's agenda at warp speed, so
I love it.
we're setting a new land speed. I don't want to jinx it, but so far,
Spencer, I can tell you run an efficient meeting, and I do apologize for being late. It was
Not
in
at
my
all.
calendar at 9, it was in my head at 9, because that's when police and fire meet, and I have meetings before the regular trustee meeting with John. I didn't this time because I said I didn't need to, and had I, he probably would have said, just no, we start at 8:30. So at that, I was going to be a couple minutes late anyway, so I apologize. And I have been on the liaison to the Police and Fire Board since I started council in 2019, so I have 6 years over there. I moved over here, Mayor appointed me as of Tuesday to the Federated Board. I look forward to hearing about what happens at the Federated Board, but I have a lot of background with the pension plans as it relates to police and fire, and they're similar, but different bargaining groups and also different results, different dollars, different results, and so I look forward to participating in that. I will be on the 28th. The mayor has selected me as his vice mayor appointment, and that will be confirmed theoretically, let's hope, on the 28th, which is a council meeting. It's a council meeting action, and I'm truly honored to finish my last 2 years. I term out in 2026, so after that, you'll have someone else replacing me. When Dev left, Dev and I were the veterans, and as you know, Dev was on this board for 8 years. We had a good camaraderie. We shared some ideas. This board's very different, but it's not. It's the same. So it's kind of exciting to take on this. It also fits my schedule better. I actually am an early riser, so I prefer early meetings and getting done early. Just a couple of things that are on the agenda at the city level, and that is, number one, the budget issue. We are getting ready to craft the budget. The mayor delivers his budget message in March. I'm in the Brown Act with the mayor, so that means I'll be able to participate with him on the budget message. But the economics or financial condition that the city finds itself right now is not good. And a lot of that is related to decrease in sales tax. We knew that going into 25-26 fiscal year, we would be at a deficit, so we already had that knowledge and we're planning for that. But the last calendar quarter of 2024 showed a decrease in sales tax, which results in us, the city manager, instructing departments to put a freeze on hiring. That doesn't affect all departments, but it affects some. The main ones that it does not affect are police and fire, public safety. There may be others in Federated that I'm not as up to speed on. I think code enforcement is involved in there, but I'm not really sure. Actually, Julie would probably have that information a lot better, but we'll be
Yeah,
working on that.
Park rangers and animal care services
Yeah, thank you.
were held harmless.
Yeah, thank you. So we will be looking at how will we continue to fund core services and provide the services that our residents expect, and that the top focus areas really are public safety, homelessness, blight. Those are the big issues, and a lot of our departments work together on those particular issues. Doesn't not to say those are the only things we're going to be funding, but we will be looking at how we can fund our core services and take care of our residents. The other thing coming up that is a big issue, as you know, there's a vacancy in District 3. So we will be appointing an interim city council member that will take office around February 1st. That we will be conducting interviews of the applicants on the 28th at our council meeting, and then we will narrow it down to one person. We have a system in place on how we will get to that vote. We have to have 7 votes or a supermajority of the council in order to put a name forward. That person will be in place until the special election results have been certified. So theoretically, it's a 6-month position from roughly February 1st to August 1st. We've received, I think, 11 applications, and now we're all meeting with whoever has reached out to us who are interested in that position. And then we are to provide a list of the people we want to interview, and the people with the majority of votes from council to interview will be brought forth. I don't know what that number is, but that is the main thing on our agenda for that meeting. So we will be very focused on making sure we have the right caretaker in place for 6 months. The other thing that goes along with that is our special election, and we are in the midst of the special election now. The last date to declare their candidacy was the 10th, last week, and frankly, I don't know exactly how many people have put their name in. I think it's 8. It's a lot. And so because there is so many, we will likely have a runoff. So we have the special election, the primary is early April. The general election will be in June, and then it takes about 30 days to certify the results. So that's why we're looking at August, and council really takes off in July anyway after the budget session. So there's a lot going on with that. We want to be, as far as the interim is concerned, I'm looking for someone who can really take over the position and work with constituent services, which is the #1 thing. Plus, that person will be involved in the budget, so some knowledge about finances and financial matters will be really, really critical. So that's what I have. I'm truly honored to be here and listen to the Federated side of things, and I'll take any questions if anybody has them.
Well, thank you very much. Are there indeed any questions from trustees?
No, but welcome aboard.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Just one quick question. You mentioned the meeting on the 28th to interview candidates for the interim position. Will there also be appointment at the same meeting?
Yes.
So it will be resolved on that same day?
Yes, and what, Spencer, if we don't get 7 in the first round, which I don't suspect we will,
Uh-huh.
we will keep voting until we get to the 7.
It gets
That's
it
the
done. Yeah.
process we put in place in December.
Mhm.
Sounds
And-
like picking a pope.
Until the smoke rises.
Exactly, exactly.
And I do know, maybe other trustees don't, that in fact, in this particular case, all of the applicants for the interim position have committed to not running for the ongoing seat. So it's not a question where someone will be established as an incumbent that then can carry through to the
Right,
general.
and actually, that's one of the things of main concern to me, is
Uh-huh.
that we don't appoint someone who has an advantage over all the
Mhm.
other candidates because they're the quote-unquote incumbent,
Mhm.
appointed incumbent.
Right. Well, if there are any questions from the public, seeing none, let me officially welcome you to Federated from
Thank
the
you.
chair, and look forward to a mutually supportive relationship.
Thank you.
Okay. On to item 5E, discussion action on standing committee assignments. So normally in the January session, we review our committee assignments. And if we could throw those up on the screen, I'm sure you all know where you're assigned. Unlike our brethren at Police and Fire, we have a mere 7 trustees to populate the same number of committees. So we ask a lot of our trustees in terms of additional work besides the board meetings. What I would like to do at this time myself is to maintain the existing assignments, knowing that our trustee Jennings will be leaving us in 2 sessions, and we will have someone new sitting with us on the board, and depending on who that is and what their talents may be, I'd like to reconsider the committee assignments at that time. So if there's no objection to that, I'd like to maintain the existing assignments. I'd like the trustees to reach out to me with any comments they have about the assignments. If there's any great dissatisfaction or any great aspiration for different assignments, please let me know. I will consider that. I will make no promises about making any changes. We need to populate all the assignments. All of them are worthy and important, and some of them are more or less attractive than others. I understand that, but we all have our roles to play. So if there's no objection, I guess we do need a vote. So if we can have a motion to maintain the assignments for now, and we will revisit them in the near future when we do have a new trustee on board. And just a word on that, my understanding is because this trustee is a replacement during an existing term, that we as trustees will actually interview all applicants and suggest an applicant to be forwarded to city council for approval. So we will have a role in choosing our next trustee on the board.
And
That
I
would-
believe it'll be an employee again, employee representative.
Yeah, it has to be an employee representative. Yeah, it's not a public member, so it's not open to anybody.
And my understanding is that right now, I think there are 2 people that are interested, which is a lump, if you consider.
Yeah, I think in the past, we haven't had so many interested
No.
applicants. I'm aware of 2 people. There may be more
Yeah.
out there. And we will see. So I'm not exactly, it's not agendized yet. We don't know when we will
Right.
have this meeting where we as trustees will review and select and interview those applicants.
We are actively working with the clerk's office to determine the timeline for that process.
Okay.
You know, we had an original timeline, but with all that's going on at city council, that's taking priority. And, you know, we're working to try to get it done before the March meeting, which may be difficult based on
Okay.
the
That-
lead time. But
That would be
Yeah,
ideal.
because my last meeting will be February.
Say it ain't so. All right. So with all that as background, and I would entertain a motion to continue the existing standing committee assignments.
I'll
I
make
so
that motion.
Okay, I heard trustee Linder, and I believe we have a second from trustee Jennings. Any further discussion, any further comments? If not, we'll roll call. Trustee Jennings,
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Avasti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Chandra?
Aye.
Trustee Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Linder?
Aye.
And Chair votes aye.
Still not rolling off your tongue.
It's gonna take a while. Change is hard.
It'll get there.
Yeah, give me a couple years. And with that, we move to 5F, which is our annual training on fiduciary duties. Counselor Chin, enlighten us.
Oh, you're going to the big
Keep us
chair.
legal.
She's moving to the big chair to do this.
Oh, okay.
I thought it'd be official because I can see everyone better this way. Thank you, trustees. Good morning. It's been a while since we've had an official fiduciary training, so we thought it would be useful to have a refresher at one of our regularly scheduled board meetings. Next slide, please. Over the course of last year, we've had much discussion amongst this board on a variety of the fiduciary duties as those matters came up to the board on a series of business matters before the board. Now, as you see here, there are 5 fundamental fiduciary duties, and I'll go through them each today during our presentation, but just so that we have an overall roadmap here, there's the primary duty of loyalty, there's the exclusive benefit rule, there's the duty of prudence, there's the duty to diversify your investment portfolio, and there is a duty to follow the plan's document. Now, these 5 fiduciary duties are imposed on all retirement boards in the state of California. These are not just law, but they're also codified as constitutional fiduciary duties, and they're set forth in Article 16, Section 17 of the California Constitution. And if we can go to the next slide, please. So let's go through each one of them in further depth. So what my overall plan here today is to go over each of the 5 fiduciary duties, but then we'll focus a little bit more on what I call the twin duties, which are the duty of loyalty and the duty of prudence. They often come hand in hand, so I categorize them as twin fiduciary duties because they usually come together. But let's start first with the primary duty rule, which is known as the duty of loyalty. Now, the duty of loyalty takes precedent over all other of the fiduciary duties. And why is that? It's because the pension fund exists for one sole, oops, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, it cut out for a second. The reason why the duty of loyalty takes precedence over all other fiduciary duties is because the pension fund exists for one purpose alone, and that's to pay out benefits to the members and beneficiaries, both now and in the future. And so that's why the primary duty, you can think of the duty of loyalty as a primary duty rule. That's our primary purpose for what the fund exists for. This is why we're sitting here as trustees, and that's our sole objective. Now, you can think of the duty of loyalty as your North Star. It should be guiding you through every single decision you make as a board. So what you would like to consider, for example, for the duty of loyalty in discharging that is to consider what is in the best interest of our members and beneficiaries. You need to separate your own personal interests or the interests of others that are not the members and beneficiaries in discharging that duty of loyalty. And so the next fiduciary duty is the exclusive benefit rule. And what it provides is that you have a sole duty to use the plan assets only for 2 purposes. One is to pay out benefits, and the other is to pay reasonable administrative expenses. Those are the only 2 purposes for which we can disperse money out of the trust fund that is authorized by law. Any other disbursement of money from the trust fund would be considered a gift of public funds, and so that would not be allowed. So, yes, question?
Is there a definition about what reasonable means?
Yes, so let me get into that a little bit more. So reasonable administrative expenses requires the board to conduct their due diligence to make sure that the value that they are paying out is commensurate, the fees that they are paying out is commensurate with the value that they are getting in return. And so that's where it leads into the next fiduciary duty, which is the duty of prudence. So in order for the board to determine that they're, for example, receiving or paying out reasonable administrative expenses, they have to do their due diligence. They need to determine and go out, bid, check people's qualifications, see if the value that you're getting back in return is the same for what you're paying out, and that requires vigilant monitoring and oversight as well. And so that's those 2 kind of bleed into each other. And then so let me talk a little bit more about the duty of prudence. So the duty of prudence holds you to a heightened standard. You're not held to just the standard reasonable person standard. It's a heightened standard in the sense that they hold you to a standard of another trustee holding your same positions with the same duties. And the reason for that is, generally speaking, most of the time in the law, they hold you to a reasonable person standard because you're dealing with your own money or your own liabilities and your own assets as an individual. So that's why they hold you to a reasonable person standard. However, as trustees of this pension fund, you are holding the funds for someone else. You're managing someone else's money. So because of that, there's a heightened standard and fiduciary duties imposed on you when administering the plan. And so, again, you're charged with similar duties of someone who's in a similar circumstance. So another trustee with the same fiduciary duties and the same requirements of being knowledgeable of all components of the plan administration. Another thing that is incumbent in the duty of prudence is to assure the competency of the assets of the trust. This ties back to the duty of loyalty. It's prudent to make sure that there's enough money in the trust fund so you can pay out benefits both now and in the future. If I could summarize, cut to the chase, what fiduciary duties are in one simple sentence, and this is one of my taglines, is how embarrassing would it be that there's no money to pay out benefits when they're due? So if you can kind of just think about that while we go through the presentation as well. Next slide, please.
Hey, Council Chen,
Yes.
just if it's helpful to others, think of reasonableness as an objective standard. It's not what you think is reasonable.
Right.
And I think that's the big mistake most people who aren't trained in fiduciary duties or have a legal background mistake. It's not what you think is reasonable. You have to seek an objective standard to the best of your ability.
Thank you, Chair Chandra. It's going to take sorry, I'm going to stumble about this a little bit.
Vice Chair Chandra.
Vice Chair Chandra. Sorry, I see.
like that.
I apologize. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get used to in transition, but thank you. So the next one we have here is the duty to diversify, and that is to minimize risks and maximize returns, unless not clearly prudent to do so. So there is that caveat again, that duty of prudence comes in to assure the competency of the assets. And so that's the language directly from the Constitution on unless clearly not prudent to do so. And the purpose of this is so that, you know, we are, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, we are an intergenerational trust fund. And so we have to balance the liquidity needs of now and as well as in the future. And so to do that, it requires us to diversify our portfolio so we have a varying level of funding stream that comes, you know, throughout time. And so we are long-term investors, and that's something to keep in mind. And when we do our portfolio construction, we often keep that in mind as well, is that, you know, we're not just looking to get money now in this day and age, we're looking for our future generations to come as well, to maintain that liquidity. And so the last one here is to follow the plan document, and we have a duty to do so because we are plan administrators, we are not the designers, and that's a very important point to emphasize, is that we don't design the document or the plan. We just merely administer the plan based on the provisions that are provided to us. And those provisions that can constitute a plan document, it's a little different than in the trust and estates realm. So for example, in the trust and estates realm, you would have a will, you would have a trust instrument, and that would be your plan document to which you're administering. Here for our public pension boards, it's a little different. Ours is all either statutorily prescribed and so, or set in the law. So for example, our plan document consists of a universe of statutes. So one of them is the California Constitution, another one is the city charter, another one is the San Jose Municipal Code relating to Federated, and also as well as all Internal Revenue Code codes and regulations, as well as our board policies and regulations and charters. Those all form together as a universe of our plan document. And so those are the things that we look to whenever we're questioning on the process of what we should do or what the bounds of what we can do. Those are the plan documents that we work on.
So
there's two reasons for, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's two reasons. There's an additional reason for why we need to adhere to our plan documents is for tax qualified status. for our benefits. It's required under the IRS code that we follow our plan documents. And so whenever there's an error correction, we are required by the IRS, the IRS to correct those to maintain our tax qualified status. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chair Horowitz.
Well, I just wanted, if you could elaborate a little bit on this last important thing, not responsible for plan design, but rather administration, because as trustees, we do create some of the documents, such as plan governance, plan policies, our IPS. So help me understand where that distinction is made.
Sure. So these oftentimes this issue oftentimes comes up when the Muni Code, for example, is written in a way where we are bound and we have to administer it, even though the equities may fall and otherwise. And so we're bound by that document to administer it, even though, for example, I can give you an example. Let's make one up just for the sake of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that say that someone once they've retired and they get remarried, there's only a certain window of time that they're allowed to register their subsequent spouse for any sort of benefits. And so say they missed it because they took an extended honeymoon, but the Muni Code said it had to be by a certain date. And so in that circumstance, we would be bound by the deadline that's stated in the Muni Code. We wouldn't have the flexibility to create an exception that's not otherwise provided in the plan document in that instance. So that's, for example, when I say that we're not responsible for the plan design. That's with the City Council. And any challenges, for example, to the fairness or the scope or the processes set forth in the Muni Code, that issue is not for us to take up. That's for the members or whoever's dissatisfied with it to bring it up to City Council, because we don't enact the Muni Code. We just administer the law as set by the City Council.
But in compliance with the Muni Code, we do set certain governance policies within the board, or we define the investment policy statement. So those are within our purview to do so.
That's correct. So in certain respects, the Muni Codes may be very specific. For example, that deadline example I gave you was very specific, and there's no room for discretion. However, in the Muni Code, there are several instances where they do grant the board discretion, one of them being in the realm of investments, as you note. And there's several other ones, too, that the code either is silent on it or specifically grants the board discretion. And in those instances where there's not like a firm line in the plan document, the board does have discretion to fill the void so they can continue to operate.
Okay, thank you.
But fiduciary duties apply anytime in any way where we are involved with the plan document creation or processes, right?
That's correct. And let me elaborate on that a little bit more. So in the Muni Code, pertinent to both retirement boards, it specifically codifies and incorporates the California constitutional fiduciary duties. And so that is also a part of your plan document. And so to the extent there's any sort of conflict in the two provisions, it's already, the California Constitution, generally speaking, does take precedent over the Muni Code provisions, and some of the Muni Code provisions already incorporate that. And so when you harmonize all the provisions together, we take precedence, the fiduciary duties do take precedence over the other provisions, because you can read them over each other. Any other questions before I dive in and focus on the duty of loyalty and the duty of prudence? Last call? Nope. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's drill in on the duty of loyalty. Now, as you see here, each public pension fund has a number of stakeholders that care about the fund's operation for the sole reason that they've got some sort of interest in it. So for example, federated stakeholders include its members and beneficiaries, the unions who represent the active members who are members of our retirement plan. We have the city and the plan sponsor. They're the ones who help fund the plan on a consistent basis. And then we also have the retiree associations that represent the retired members who are a part of the plan. But then we also have a greater universe of stakeholders, which are the public, taxpayers, consultants, vendors. So there's a larger universe of stakeholders that all kind of play into the picture when we're looking at public pensions. Now, that being all said, going back to the duty of loyalty, the California Constitution imposes that our duty lies with our members and beneficiaries first and foremost. And so our members and beneficiaries, we cater to over all other stakeholders. And again, going back to the sole purpose of the fund is to pay out benefits owed to those individuals. And so that's why we give them precedent over all others. Now, one way I can help provide like a common tool to cater so that you can kind of orient yourself around the duty of loyalty is to always ask yourself, is this in the best interest in our members and beneficiaries of the plan, and how? I think the how is a really important part of that question, because if you just start to think about how that all plays out, they'll start to help orient you in thinking about your duty of loyalty and as you approach these various topics. And it gets complex. Well, there's another slide down in the slide deck, and we talk about the O'Neill case, so I'll put a pin in it where we talk about the complexities of what that means, and you can see that play out in further detail amongst all these stakeholders. But for now, this is kind of, you know, just the large-scale scope of what the duty of loyalty is. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we've talked about the universe of people that we owe the duty of loyalty. Now we're going to talk about what does it mean to be loyal. Now, everyone on this board as a trustee is an interested board member. You come to the board with a unique perspective. You're interested in the operation and success of the pension fund. But this is not a representative board. This is not Congress. So it does not matter how you got to the board. Once you're seated on the board, your duty and hat changes. So for example, when you come to sit as a trustee, you put your trustee hat on, and you take off whatever hat you had on before, and you have your trustee hat on with the sole eye towards discharging your duty of loyalty and prudence and making sure there's enough funding to pay out the benefits when due and to administer the plan according to its documents. So this one's, so in thinking about it that way, again, we have a constituency of one. We have the members and beneficiaries, and this is often a common area of tension for some trustees who feel like they're on the board to serve a special interest group who appointed them. But again, once you've been seated, you owe a fiduciary duty to the whole plan, and that's your constituency. Your constituency is the members and beneficiaries of the plan, not the special interest group that put you there. Okay, so now what else does it mean to be loyal? Well, the board is comprised of several trustees, and you act collectively as a fiduciary. This is a really important point to make because the board acts together, not individually. Each individual trustee cannot act on its own. You act together collectively as a board. And because of that, each and every one of you has a duty to each other to develop a level of trust amongst yourselves to ensure that A, we're all avoiding conflicts of interest, and B, that we're all adhering to our fiduciary duties. And so another strong way to ensure that you're adhering to your duty of loyalty is a conflict of interest test. So you ask yourself, am I serving the interests of others? Do I stand to get a personal or financial gain? Obviously, accepting gifts that can influence you would go counter to your duty of loyalty and represent a conflict. However, you know, another thing inherent to developing that sense of trust amongst yourselves as trustees is having trust that your other fellow trustees, if they believe there's a conflict or a perception of a conflict, or just even a question about whether a conflict exists, they raise it to their legal counsel, to John. We look into it, and if, to the extent they feel like there is indeed a conflict that would impair the board in making a determination or acting, that they recuse themselves, declare the recusal, make a record of it, just so the board has comfort in knowing that we've discharged our fiduciary duties in a way that's free from conflict. You have to feel assured as a whole that everyone on the board is acting within their fiduciary duties. Trustee Avasi.
Could you elaborate on the perception of conflict of interest?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Could you please elaborate on perception of conflict of interest?
Yeah, so a lot of this, for example, this area oftentimes bleeds in with the issue of bias. So sometimes people may feel like they don't want to vote on something because either they've got a personal bias or it could be perceived that they've got a personal bias on something, and they don't want to, taint the other board members voting on it. So it's oftentimes in those situations they're recused. Like, for example, I'll give you an example from the SORL systems. Every time the SORL systems all have the county treasurer sitting as a board member on their boards, and it's a voting member. And so oftentimes when there's an issue where there's the county's involved in a dispute with a retirement board, that county member would recuse themselves. Even though they have the ability to vote, and it may not necessarily be a direct conflict, maybe it's an issue unrelated to funding, it could be just in a litigation, but they feel like they could be unfair or perceived to be unfair, they would state that on the record and recuse themselves so the rest of the board can continue to act. Trustee Horowitz?
Yeah,
Chair Horowitz, I'm sorry.
you'll get there.
I was just chair.
I think that's an important question, the perception of conflict. One often hears the phrase, the appearance of conflict. And to me, that's a very elastic formulation because it places into the eye of the beholder as opposed to a factual basis. So for instance, many of us are about to attend the Calipers General Assembly or Pension Bridge. There are many people there attending the same conference who are investment managers, consultants, others who may seek business before the board, and certainly we will be having conversations with those people. And I think any conversation could be perceived or give the appearance of a potential conflict. So how do we draw the line there? I mean, I think as fiduciaries, it is our duty to have these conversations, to gather information, and to be as knowledgeable as we possibly can.
Sure. So this goes to the question of voting. So when I'm talking about conflict of interest, duty to disclose and recuse, I'm talking about the board acting collectively as on board matters. So the board only acts by taking votes, for example. And so in terms of the perception of conflicts of interest, that's a different, what you're asking is different from what I'm talking about here, which is voting. So for example, like the conflict of interest in voting is governed by statute. So there is, for example, a number of statutes that prohibit voting on a contract where you have a personal and financial interest in or know somebody who does, for example. That's the type of conflict that I'm speaking about for disclosure and recusal. And for example, if say you have an extended family member who doesn't necessarily fall within the government contracting statutes that prohibit, for example, you to vote on a contract that's before the board, but say it's a distant cousin. It may have the perception that even though you can vote on it, you may have a personal bias, or you don't want to, vote in a way that harms your cousin. That's way far down the line. So again, it's within the judgment of the board member in terms of disclosure and recusal. There are some hard and fast rules about conflicts of interest and what those boundaries are, but there's also additional considerations which are not so clear-cut that lead into like bias or any other unfair, favorable things. I would say when considering this, oftentimes what I've heard is that you think about what you would see in the headlines, and do you feel like that's something you would like to deal with in terms of a vote you took? And this voting issue goes into a larger question, which we can take another day to discuss, which is your fiduciary duty to act as a board. There's one thing to just abstain because it's politically uncomfortable to take a vote, but you're seated on the board to make those difficult decisions. And so the fiduciary duties require you to vote and not abstain to the extent you can, as permissible under the law.
Okay. So voting is a very concrete act, and that's what's being applied here. So the mere having of conversations, the gathering of information, having interactions, this is not seen as something that one should be particularly fearful of or careful of.
Well, I would certainly say don't promise anything when you're having those conversations. It's one thing to go to a presentation, get the information, hear them out. It's another thing to bring that back to the board and put a thumb on the scale on something that's before the board. That's a conflict of interest directly that would not be okay under the law and the fiduciary duties.
Yeah, I think there's two keys. One is, are you putting your thumb on the scale? And the second is, Content is not the issue, it's the nature of your relationship with the person. So your examples aren't even close, because you don't know these people and you're just gathering information. If it was a buddy, or it was a cousin, or you were motivated to help them so they got personal gain. So you don't focus on the content, focus on the relationship.
I guess I'm focused on the words appearance of, and that I'm thinking of a visual of, I saw Spencer talking with somebody at a conference, and then someone, you know, to the paranoid mind,
That would be a paranoid mind indeed. That's
every
very
interaction.
attenuated.
Yeah, okay.
And again, bringing it back, the board, the main point of this talking point here is that the board acts collectively as a fiduciary. You guys are both individually fiduciaries when you come to sit as individual trustees, but you act collectively as a board. And so whenever there's a board action, that's when the fiduciary duties all get triggered, because that was what directly impacts the plan.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I'm glad we're having this robust discussion.
that's good.
Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide is just to highlight the point that this is not Congress. This is a slide or a quote from the U.S. Supreme Court. And just to reiterate, here's what the Supreme Court said about the duty of loyalty. An employee benefit fund trustee is a fiduciary whose duty is owed to the trust beneficiaries, must overcome any loyalty to the interest of the party that appointed them. This is a distinction between the process by which the person is appointed to office and the manner in which he performs that office after being appointed. Again, once you become a trustee, you sit down at the dais, you take off whatever hat you wore before, and you only wear one hat, you only have one head, and that's the fiduciary hat when you sit as a trustee. Next slide, please. So this one here, I wanted to talk about because we are an intergenerational trust fund, and it's important to discuss this, which is the duty of impartiality. We need to treat all members fairly. Our retirement fund includes active and retired members, which may have different competing interests. For example, active members would like to maintain their jobs and continue to work and avoid layoffs. Retiree members would like to continue to receive the benefits that they're currently receiving. And so sometimes these interests are not aligned, and it's difficult as a board dealing with multiple beneficiaries with different interests to balance all those interests together to reach a common interest point where you can feel like you've discharged your duty of prudence. So one guiding principle here is to strive to be fair in the long run, and so to balance those various competing interests. And because those interests are so diverse, that the law and the courts provide the retirement boards with significant amount of discretion in recognizing how difficult it can be to balance those varying interests. But wherever there's discretion, the duty of prudence comes into the picture. And so please, next slide. So now, what does it mean to be prudent? When you have discretion, you have to discharge it with and consistent with the duty of prudence. And one thing I want to point out is that the duty of prudence is really about the deliberative process. Good process matters more than good results. And the reason for that is that the whole point of the duty of prudence is to, as Vice Chair Chandra mentioned, is to discharge your duties in an objective manner. It's not what you believe is reasonable, but it's what an objective person in your capacity would deem as prudent to do in that particular circumstance. And it's very factually based. Again, so because of that, you're held to a heightened prudence standard. You have to be knowledgeable of all necessary components for the plan administration. This includes investments, this includes actuarial issues, this includes your fiduciary duties, this includes disability benefits and what that means and what the standards are under the Muni Code. So you're charged to be knowledgeable of all necessary components for the plan administration because you are charged with fiduciary duties to administer the plan. Now, we only meet once a month, and there's only a limited number of trustees here today. You can't run a multi-billion-dollar trust fund meeting once a month. So oftentimes, to discharge the duty of prudence, you need to delegate, and you need to delegate the day-to-day operations down. And we can have a whole nother discussion on the duty to delegate, because it is very complicated, and there's a few nuances in there. But for today's purposes, I'm going to give it to you at a very high level, just so you have the outer rim of what the duty to delegate looks like. So whenever a board either does not have its particular expertise, so it lacks a particular expertise to do something, or lacks the capacity to do it itself, the duty of prudence requires that you delegate it to continue as a part of the necessary functions for the plan administration. So when you delegate, however, your fiduciary duties don't disappear. Whoever you delegate it to maintains the same fiduciary duties and the same fiduciary standards that you hold as trustees. So with the delegation, the fiduciary duties follow. Now, when you delegate, there's no set and forget. The duty of prudence requires that if you have delegated something, you have to constantly check in to see if the delegation scope is appropriate. 2, whether the delegation is being carried out for the purpose for which you've delegated, and there's a sub-duty to monitor within the duty of prudence. Again, we can have a more fulsome discussion of that at a later date for future fiduciary training. And then there's also the duty to adjust. So for example, if the delegation is not going the way that we had originally planned, the duty of prudence requires you to revisit it. And so every couple years, periodically, it's prudent to go and double check, is all our delegations that we've gone down appropriate in scope, considering our size and risk, and all those other considerations as well. So there's no set and forget. The duty of prudence and the duty to delegate requires vigilant oversight. And one thing I want to note is that if a board acts prudently, meaning it had good process, it followed its process, it had open deliberation and thorough deliberation on issues, heard all stakeholders, then there is no breach of fiduciary duties, even if, looking back in 2020 hindsight, the choices turned out to be less than ideal at the end of the day. Because no one can predict the future. What you're judged against is, were you reasonable in your process? Did you follow your process? Did you follow governance? Did you follow through on and follow your policies as written, rather than tinker with it along the way to suit your personal needs or whatever other needs there might be? So again, that's why process is so important, and so it's a key cornerstone for the duty of prudence. Now, next slide, please.
Made a question.
Oh, yes, question.
You talked about delegation and the trickle down of the fiduciary duties. So does that mean that the fiduciary duties are applicable on the management and staff as well?
Yes. So every individual that the board delegates to, the fiduciary duties to whom the person received the delegated authority, also has the same fiduciary duties and are held to the same standard.
Okay. So I expect that you'll be providing this training to
I'm sorry?
everyone in the department.
I'm sorry, can you say that?
So do you provide this training at the department level as well?
Not that I'm aware of yet, but that would be something we could put on the agenda.
Yeah, we can certainly do that, but not as far as I'm aware. Okay, so here's the case I was mentioning earlier that I wanted to talk about regarding the twin fiduciary duties of loyalty and prudence. And this is a case that deals with intergenerational competing interests within the members' constituency of one. It also involves the plan sponsor as well. So let me give you the factual background of the case so you can kind of see where all the competing pieces are and how the case was resolved. So this case involves Stan Sarah, which is the Searle Retirement Fund that represents Stanislaus County. And so in this case, Stan Sarah had a slew of mishaps that led to a large unfunded liability. So initially, after the 2008 Great Recession, they, as most other pension funds across the state of the United States, suffered a massive investment loss. That massive investment loss was compounded with an actuarial mishap. They had miscalculated the valuation by a tune of millions of dollars, and so that compounded their losses. And so when they realized it was a massive loss. And so when they had a fiduciary duty to register that loss, in their valuation, which then in turn affected the county, because they all of a sudden had this huge unfunded liability that they were not expecting. They were also hit by the 2008 Great Recession, and so both sides were financially strained. Now, in the years leading up to the 2008 Great Recession, because of the actuarial mishap, they had excess earnings. They had overvalued the plan, and they had more than they needed for each year of funding. So they created an excess benefit fund, which is separate from the pension fund. It's an additional reserve fund, and started paying out healthcare retiree benefits. They provided a subsidy to the retirees to cover their healthcare benefits because they had the extra money to do so at that time. Now, when this all was discovered, that one, they had misvalued things, and that money from the excess benefit fund should have been put into the pension fund, but it was outside the pension fund for the reasons I've stated. They decided to move that money from the excess benefit fund into the pension fund at the request of the city. So I'm sorry, not to say the county. So the county had come to the retirement board saying, like, we can't pay this. There's just no way we can pay this. We'll have to lay off a ton of people to pay this, and we can't make our services. And so because the plan sponsor is a constant funding stream to the retirement fund, and because the way the contributions are paid were a percentage of payroll, the pension fund had an interest in maintaining those active jobs so that they can have a continual stream of payments coming into the plan. And in addition to that, there was another fiduciary duty finding, was that the duty of loyalty did require two things. So that the active members had an interest in their continued job and service. So that's another interest that was at play. Ultimately, after hearing the city, after hearing the active members' concerns about their jobs, and the retirees obviously didn't want their health care benefits to be removed, the courts ultimately decided that the retirement board, which decided to move the excess funding into the retirement plan, was a sound and prudent decision, because it balanced all the various interests at play for the long-term stability of the plan. And so and another point to make is the retiree benefits in the excess benefit program were not vested benefits, so that was an additional consideration compared to the pension fund benefits that were vested. And so you can see there was competing interests between the retirees and the active members. There's competing interests between the city and the active members. And what happened in that case is that the board met often, lots of special meetings. They invited all the stakeholders in. They had all the actuaries come in. They had brought lawsuits against their previous actuary. And they just heard everyone through. And it took them a series of meetings to come to the decision, a difficult decision, to get rid of the excess benefit plan, deposit it back into the pension plan. And then I think they also worked with the city on a payment plan on some of the outstanding EOL. And so that's one of the, and I'm happy to send the case around to the trustees if you would like to read it after this presentation. This is one of the primary cases on the duty of prudence, because it's a very difficult decision with multiple stakeholders, but it outlines what the court determined was a prudent process. And so just to go over the key pillars of that is, one, always seek expert advice from your actuaries, your counsels, and your consultants. Make sure that you're really thinking through it, and hold open and public meetings. Again, this goes to the issue of process, to make sure that you have an open and public dialogue, and everyone who is a stakeholder has an interest, has an ability to express themselves on these topics. And another thing about holding open and public meetings on the question of discretion is that the benefit of it is that it helps you develop a record in case you're sued for an abuse of discretion. I will say all those public meetings, the minutes, the transcripts of those meetings, all the documents that were posted with the agenda, that was all a part of the record before the trial court. And so that's another reason why having open and public meetings, building the record before you make a decision is very important. Invite all those stakeholders to participate, gather all the relevant facts, and consider all reasonable options. There was a number of options that the retirement board considered. I think I don't have it directly off the top of my head, but if I recall correctly, there were 3 or 4 options that they were weighing, ultimately decided on the option that was later on challenged in court. And again, remember, through all this, your primary duty of loyalty is to the members and beneficiaries. One thing I do want to note is that one of the arguments was that they had a duty to the city to minimize contributions. The court there determined that there was no duty of loyalty there to the city to lower contributions, because the duty of loyalty resides with the members and beneficiaries as that duty plays out. So that's one thing to note. And again, document and record all your public proceedings, because it will be important to have that on record should your discretion be challenged in court. Any questions before I move on? I know that was a lot.
Any questions from trustees? No?
Okay, so now, adherence to the twin duties of loyalty and prudence help us keep us honest in our plan administration. And so, next slide. Thank you. And so a couple takeaway points here is that the duty of prudence and the duty of loyalty require us to follow our processes and follow the plan documents and to keep us honest in our plan administration. Again, we are administrators. We're not the designers of the plan in terms of the fundamental benefit disbursements. That's all set in the Muni Code. And here's another point. The operational errors must be corrected, even if painful, for members who relied on those errors. Again, this goes back to our plan administrator role in the IRS code requiring us to follow our plan document. This has come up a number of times, if you recall correctly. For example, we had the 415 limit issue that came before the board. Again, it was an operational error that it had to get corrected. The board had no discretion in that. It was required to follow the plan document. And again, the law provides great latitude for correcting past and future errors as long as it's compliant with the plan document. And so, for example, we have in our constitutional fiduciary toolbox a number of actuarial tools that can help us mitigate or plan out how we implement some of those plan corrections. And also the tax laws also have some guidance on how we can correct and give us various options for corrections as well. And so before I close, one thing I want to help the trustees orient themselves on. I know public pension funds seem very complex. They have a lot of very particular things to it. But at base, it's very similar to a private trust and estates. And so, like, if you can imagine our plan document being a set of statutes opposed to a will or a trust instrument, our role as trustees is similar in both contexts. So we follow and administer the plan document for the sole purpose of our members and beneficiaries. And we stay loyal to our plan document and the beneficiaries in discharging our duties. Now, with that, that's all I have for today. If there's any questions or any requests for further training on any particular issues that I've covered today, I'm happy to hear it and provide further training.
Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from trustees?
I have
Trustee Abbott, go ahead.
question, and that has to do with sort of the responsibility of the board relative to the plan sponsor, because I know oftentimes the plan sponsor also represents some of the members, or may, they employ the members. Can you give us any more insight onto our examples of what we should consider in that case?
Yeah, so I think at base, what is from the O'Neill case, let me speak from what the case said specifically. One of the main fiduciary considerations is funding stream, and having that liquidity available both now and the future, and how that impacts the plan from a long-term perspective is one of the things that was taken into account for how the plan sponsor fits into your fiduciary duties, the duty of prudence and the duty of loyalty. I think at the end of the day, funding stream is a very important issue as plans become more mature, meaning we have less active people supporting a larger retiree population. Funding stream becomes much more important because the markets can be more volatile. The city employers' contributions, for the most part, will be a steady funding stream coming in. based on percentage of payroll. However, if the payroll starts shrinking, the funding stream gets smaller and smaller. And then so you have to consider that in the greater context of the financial health of the plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions from trustees?
Councilmember
Oh,
Foley.
Councilmember Foley.
Not a question, I just wanted to acknowledge, Maytack, that this was really a great presentation. I think the council members should have this presentation too. The duty of loyalty and prudence was really important, and thank you for emphasizing that. I really appreciate this. Do you give this to police and fire?
I do this
presentations?
training, I have multiple trainings I've done for them. So in the past, we've done open meeting laws, we did conflicts of interest, we've done fiduciary trainings as well, but not in the past year.
Okay,
We were planning to do it, but we've got so much on our agendas that attention span
I understand.
may be strained.
No,
But
I
that
understand.
being said,
No, I was really impressed. Thank you very much.
yeah. And one other thing I want to just kind of go back to the duty of prudence. I do highly encourage, as your fiduciary council, all the trustees to go to CalPERS or SACRS or any of the other trainings on this, because they do cover fiduciary duties in a variety of contexts, IPS, actuarial issues, and they do case studies on that. So I do highly recommend the trustees attend those specific programs.
Great.
I have a question.
Trustee Avasti.
So when it comes to contributions, those come not just from the plan sponsor, but also from the active members,
That's
the
right.
employees. So how do these duties address the intergenerational equity component?
Yeah, again, it goes back to the funding stream question, right? So what the way, well, there's two parts actually. Let me take it back. So because the active members have two interests, or members in general have active members in particular have two interests. One, they want to maintain their jobs, because the more years of service you get, the larger your pension benefit will be based on the formulas and calculations that are in the statutes, the Muni Code. And number two, the plan itself has interest in maintaining that funding stream. So every year, every member who's has active year of service contributes to the normal cost. And that's another consideration that we play in. So the larger you have in terms of payroll, the larger you have in terms of members paying normal cost, and the more that you have to have liquidity to pay out benefits and kind of manage how you either invest it for future generations or you pay out benefits for that year. I think at the end of the day, when you really look at it, it's the key questions are liquidity and how we can pay out our benefits and when they're due.
Okay. Any other questions from trustees? Any public comment? Seeing none. I'll just, one request is you presented a case study where the courts found that the trustees did act within their fiduciary duty. I think it would be informative to see any cases where the courts found that the trustees did not act within fiduciary duty, if they exist. So that would be a very bright line for us as trustees to say, let's not do that.
Well,
So-
there are a number of cases, so I can just give you kind of a highlight. So one of the examples where the court, it's called the Wallace case, where there was found a breach of fiduciary duties because they did not administer the plan correctly, which is that, for example, this is a felony forfeiture case. It involved the San Francisco City Charter Plan. And in that case, what they had done was apply the felony forfeiture to an individual who was already in retirement status for a felony that was outside the scope of his job. And so by applying that statute, they found on vested rights and a number of other issues, they had abused their fiduciary duties and revoked this person's pension where he was already in retirement status.
Okay. All right, so a very specific fact set with
Yeah, but if you would like to see other instances, we can certainly do
just
some
as an
research
open
on it.
question and for future trainings, that would always be, that would be informative for me, so. All right, if there are no other questions, we thank you, Council Chin, and we will move forward.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Council
Thank
Chin.
Item 6.1, Investment Committee report. I believe we haven't had a meeting since the last
Yeah,
board meeting?
We had the December 11th, and then we already gave the update at the last board
correct.
meeting.
So no further update from the chair. Very good. Moving forward to 6.2, Audit Committee. Believe it's also been a while since we had a meeting.
And no updates.
No update from the audit committee.
Next meeting is next month.
Great. Governance committee. Trustee
Yes, we
Linder.
met, as you can see, right after our last board meeting,
Mhm.
and we did approve the procurement policies and so on that are coming before you.
Okay,
And we'll meet in March.
okay, so we
And
need
that was a joint meeting, by the way. The governance committee last time was joint with police and fire.
joint police fire.
So I should clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to approve the minutes so we can simply file those, but we do need discussion and action on the recommendations
That's
of
correct.
the various policies. Do we need to take those individually?
It's just, this, 6.3C is just one policy. There's a-
see.
There's a memo from Cortex, and then there's a red line and a clean version.
Okay,
It was pretty minor.
It was, yeah, so if you'll allow me to just give a quick update.
Please.
So this is the culmination of a couple of meetings back and forth with the city's Department of Finance. Worked with the interim director at the time to coordinate between our two offices to review the policy. Department of Finance gave us a handful of suggestions, mostly around aligning terminology within our policy with other city components. So most of the updates that were recommended happened in paragraph 7, which again just aligns the wording in our policy with other city policies. This has been reviewed internally. It's also been reviewed by General Counsel, and we recommend the board's adoption of this policy in accordance with the governance committee's also recommendation.
okay, great.
Sorry, I'll also point out that we refreshed the review term to come in alignment with the rest of our standard policies, which is every 5 years.
Okay, great. So if there are no other discussion on this, we can entertain a motion to formally approve the updated procurement policy.
I so move.
We have a motion from trustee Abbott. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second from trustee Avasti. Any further discussion? We'll go for a roll call vote. Trustee Jennings?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Avasti?
Aye.
Vice Chair Chandra?
Aye.
Trustee Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Linder?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And then we need discussion and action on the 2025 work plan.
I believe, if it's okay, I will pass this over to Walter from Cortex.
Okay,
Walter,
Walter?
are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
We
Yes,
can.
Good morning.
Good morning, Happy New Year.
Happy
Yeah, very briefly, met with John and Barbara, the CEO and Deputy Director, just to discuss the fact that periodically we have to review and update these documents. And I was told when Tom Iannucci left Cortex that he felt in discussions with staff and the boards presumably that the policies and charters were in reasonably good shape, that we had been looking at them for many years, obviously, and that it was prudent and appropriate to move the frequency up, or down rather, to 5 years. So that's, and they're kind of,
Walter?
We lost you.
Walter, we lost your sound. He doesn't look like he's muted.
Well, I think we
Looks
got
like-
the gist of it, that the main change was to lengthen the frequency of the policy reviews.
Yes, and so I'll fill in while he reconnects, but generally, the work plan reviewed the policies that are under the guidance of Cortex, our governance consultant, and we have a few policies that were identified for a review, just part of a standard review, as well as if there are any policies that get referred to the governance committee that can be added to the work plan. So this work plan generally outlines the...
There is,
Walter, you're back with us?
there is.
sorry, can you guys hear me okay?
We
Yeah.
can now.
Sorry, I was notifying the rest of the house here not to bother me while I was moving rooms. Thought I was on mute, I apologize. Hang on one second here. I apologize. Can you hear me okay?
We
Yes.
can, so we were just confirming that the main update here was to lengthen the frequency
Right.
Yes.
of policy review.
Yes. Apologize here for the technology problems.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other thing to note is that the policies between the two funds are very similar. The appendix or the endnotes describe a few subtle differences, but the only other thing I'd bring to the attention of the committee, the board, is in the appendix on page 3, we summarized from the two funds. We do surveys every other year for each fund, Federated and Police and Fire, of the committee members, and to the extent that that feedback was relevant for policy reviews, we noted it here. The one thing I noted at the bottom here on page 3 is that there's no enterprise risk management policy, for example, which, based on my experience, is something that a fund should have. And so that, in planning longer term, that may be something that the two boards consider implementing. And a few other things from a monitoring perspective. The other fund, PNF, had noted a low score, for example, on monitoring the performance of the organization from an operational risk point of view. So one thought was, when you look at that, keep that in mind and make sure that you're getting metrics to have a pulse on what's going on in the organization from an operational perspective, as distinct from, say, investments. So those are just some observations that might inform the timing and the extent to which you look into some of these policies when they're due for review.
And Walter, I'll just add
Yep.
one other comment, if you'll allow.
Sure.
As part of, so the identification of the enterprise risk management policy, I think, is important. And as part of our governance RFP, we made sure to highlight
Yeah.
that as a component that we would want the winner of the procurement to help us focus on in the coming months.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, the only other thing is the CEO performance evaluation policy and CIO, while it's due for review, I don't see any need for any radical changes. That is a new policy that I helped push across the finish line. I've been discussing with the deputy director over the past few years. There's ways to improve the implementation of it, given the tight timelines for doing so. We're doing the evaluations of those two executives, but from a policy perspective, I don't think there's huge material changes given the amount of time that has been spent over the past few years looking at that. And those are my only comments. I'm happy to take questions or get feedback.
Any questions from trustees?
I have a question.
Please.
And I believe this was discussed in the joint committee
Sorry,
as
could you
well.
Draw the microphone just a bit closer to you.
I believe this was discussed in the joint committee meeting as well. The monitoring and reporting policy, the Federated does not receive a dashboard report. And that's a difference with P&F. Do you want to elaborate?
Walter, have you been able to determine the differences between the dashboards?
I haven't had a look at the implementation of it. It's not, I can look at, this was just an extract of what the policy said, but I did not look at what the actual implementation of it is. I assume that the policy, again, I'm not sure, I hadn't looked at the actual.
Sure. One of the things that I plan on doing over the course of the next year is really trying to see where we've deviated from both boards, right? So you only see a silo unless you're attending a joint committee meeting. But if there are good components that have been implemented on each side, but try to bring some sort of consolidated set of really anything, but more important on the reporting and monitoring. I've noticed just a handful of surface level differences in some of the reporting and even the formats. There's really no reason to have two separate components. So Barbara and I will work with Walter to get specific answers to what is this specifically enumerating, because I know you had asked that at the governance committee, I think it was the governance committee. And so we'll have an answer for the next committee meeting, but just understand that that's going to be something I'm going to do across the board to make sure that we're, from an administration standpoint, it's also easier if we have consistency across both boards.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Any other trustee questions? Certainly, I mean, since Measure G, I think there was a lot of new development in core policies. I think
Yep.
we've stabilized, so the idea of lengthening the interval between policy reviews certainly makes a lot of sense now that we're a bit more mature in terms of how we operate. So with that.
And just one other note, I would just say that doesn't, just because we're on a 5-year review timeline, doesn't mean that
Yep.
any trustee at the direction of the full board or any committee could refer something back to the governance committee to take it up for
5 years or
internal
as needed.
review. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Abbott.
I do have a question, and it's not so much about this review, but it has more specifically about the procedures for evaluation, and the JPC is going to help refine that and then bring it to the board. I'm wondering what the timing is for that. Because what Walter said, that the procedures could be a little bit better. I know that one of the problems that I've seen is that we see evaluations, but we don't yet have the full fiscal year results. And so we need to see, for instance, more, and we need to change the timing of what we report so that we actually have the data in there for the evaluation.
As far as the timing of this review,
Yeah.
there's a couple of nuances to, it makes it a little complicated. So our governance contract with Cortex is up at the end of March. We potentially could have a new governance consultant assisting us after that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense other than to review the history of how we got to the current policy for me and for all of our newer trustees.
Until we get to that point.
After that point, we were just discussing last week whether or not the JPC would be meeting in January. We're going to postpone that, or we're going to not have that meeting, and we'll meet in April. And one of the main topics will be this. The concern is that starting that process for the review of the CEO and the CIO evaluation will most likely not be completed by the time we need to start next year's process. So,
Yeah.
but that's okay. We can do the work on the policy and make it effective once the next CEO and CIO evaluation is completed. Having not gone through that process myself once yet, it would be hard for me to have experienced input. I'm sure Prabhu will have some opinions on it based on his process that he's been through a number of times. But so from a timing perspective, we're kind of constrained. I don't think we're going to be able to complete it by the time we start this year's evaluation.
Okay.
And is that what you were referring to?
Yeah,
or?
I really
Okay,
am, because I feel like what we saw for the last evaluation was that it said, what are the results for the fiscal year, but we didn't have that information yet. So in some cases, we're making evaluation without that data.
Yeah.
And I really feel strongly that we should be setting some point, and maybe it's just that particular point of the evaluation, that we should set the reporting to be something where we have something that we're actually measuring.
Well, that is.
And it seems to me like that one piece of this
Right.
could be done sooner if the JPC were able to meet.
So that, it's a specific problem in that we begin the eval process in August, but yet we don't yet have finalized fiscal year investment return numbers
Yeah,
that are part of the
exactly.
process. So that's a race condition that we face.
I may be off base. Is our current timeline driven somewhat by having to get any salary changes into the city by a certain time? and
Yes,
keep
so there's a compression of time there that we have to cope with, and I'm not quite sure how to square that circle.
Yeah, but I believe last time there was no reporting when it came to evaluation. So even if you don't have the fiscal year, like 9 months, there needs to be some report.
Right, we took the
Some
next
report.
best
Yeah,
input, and which is what we had done in previous years,
Yeah.
so. And I think we had unofficial numbers or unaudited numbers available to us, so
Yeah.
we made some reasonable judgment based on what we knew at the time in order to begin the process in August, so that we could complete it by October, which is when the new salaries
Right.
need to be approved.
Right.
So there's only so many months that we have to cope with. So it's a known issue, let's say that. a known solution does not yet exist, maybe.
I would just suggest that for that one item, that the JPC maybe could address that one thing
Mhm.
to make it clear, and then the rest of whatever review or procedures have to be done
Mhm.
could go later.
Okay.
So that would
I,
be my
I think
suggestion
that's
for
reasonable
priority.
if we want to
Mhm.
do a very narrowly focused review
Mhm.
of that component.
Yes,
Put it through a policy adjustment, because
Mhm.
JPC has to revert to governance then has to bring it back to the boards, but before we can bring it back to the boards, any policy adjustments should be reviewed with the city as part of the MOU. So, you know, we have a number of steps to getting even a simple adjustment to final approval, so.
yeah.
Okay. Any further questions, comments, inputs? If not, I will entertain then a motion to approve the Cortex memo.
So moved?
We have a motion from trustee Linder, second.
Yeah, I'll
I s-
second.
I think I
That's
heard,
fine.
maybe just by the
Yeah.
Vice Chair Chandra was just a little bit faster off the mark on that one. Any further discussion? We will vote. Trustee Jennings,
Aye.
trustee Abbott,
Aye.
trustee Vasti,
Aye.
Vice Chair Chandra,
Aye.
trustee Faulkner, trustee Linder.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It is approved. Disability Committee, it looks like we haven't met since November, but we will
That's correct.
again meet early February,
We're meeting February 4th, and we are anticipating a full agenda.
full agenda, great. JPC has not met since April, and although this says the next meeting is in January, in fact, it is also going to be April.
That has been postponed to early April, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we have an officially approved date yet, but I
We
think it's
do.
been
I
put
think
out
it's
there.
April 8th.
It is? Okay.
I can double check that.
Whatever, we don't need to resolve that here, but it's not till April.
Yeah,
Um,
this agenda was posted before we.
Got it, yeah. So legal services, I think you addressed that, Mr. Flynn, but I don't know if the members of the joint ad hoc have anything further to report. Sounds like we have some reasonable response.
The only thing I'll add is that the ad hoc committee is more involved in legal services, and so now that we have everything posted, Benji, who is the coordinator of the RFP for legal services, will be reaching out to the admin team to try to get some meetings scheduled for when we anticipate the responses, the proposals to come in, so that we can start that review process and get that on your calendars now.
Mhm. And remind me, when do you think that will come before the board for final approval, or what's the timeline on that?
Before the end of June.
Before the end of June.
So
That's all I'll
we
commit
were
to at this
looking to
moment.
have approval in April.
Hey, I thought it was April.
Yeah,
too.
April?
I
Okay.
think there's an approval to allow me to negotiate that would need to happen in April, and then the contract would come before the
Yeah,
board before
right.
the end of June.
Okay. All right, then similarly, we have the joint ad hoc for actuarial services. And again, it looks like we have interest from a pretty good number of firms. Anything further to report from the joint ad hoc?
The ad hoc committee is not as involved in the process and has allowed staff to move that forward. So I don't expect that the next meeting will be for a few months.
Okay. Great. Education and training, you can all review our opportunities. We have the calipers and Pension Bridge both coming up. Are there any proposed agenda items? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Well done,
Recording
Mr. Chair.
stopped.
Is this your record?
10:29, I believe this is a land speed record.
I got
I
10:28.
think this is a record.
I'm